This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast, where CEOs of small to global companies share their insights. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because top CEOs know how to listen and be concise. So let's get to it. Question number 1. In just a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Stuart Kruse, and I run a boutique investment management firm that's based off of quantitative research. So we basically invest people's money using math and statistics.
Very interesting. Question number 2, what's the best thing about being the CEO?
I think it's the freedom. I don't think that's any surprise. You have control and freedom over your schedule. At least in my business, we might call this a lifestyle business. So sometimes I'm working till 3 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes I'm playing golf at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's probably my best time.
Indeed. Now, I hear from other CEOs that leading their team and being able to see the road ahead, if you will, can be a challenge. What are your thoughts?
I think that's always the $64,000 question is, advancing and adapting or dying, especially in the world of COVID. So as a CEO, you've got to learn to pivot. I know when people were panicking last time during the COVID, for at least for me, when you see money's in motion, that's a good thing. And almost any time there's a despair, that signals opportunity. So you just have to find it.
Indeed. Well, based on that, what piece of insight do you want to share with other CEOs?
I don't know if I can give insight to other CEOs in the sense that my process is better than theirs. I just know I found the ability to level up whenever I've been able to understand what practices were not leverage time. I took some time to basically block out 15-minute schedules, blocks to see where I was spending my most time, and realize my job as a CEO is to either A, do the most leverage thing I can for the company, and B, to try and always continually replace myself in a job that I shouldn't be doing.
Well said. That's a useful piece of insight. So tell me, what other successful CEOs like yourself would you like to acknowledge and should be on my podcast?
Should be on your podcast. So I've worked with a guy named Sean Carpenter, who founded White Charts. He's founded a couple other fintech companies. Something that he does very well that I've been impressed with has been able to pivot. When he finds that something hasn't worked well for him, I find that oftentimes I get entrenched with things that I feel like are my baby, and I don't want to give them up. But when he sees it's not working, he looks at the data, which is really important, and he just shifts and pivots to something different. And whether that means closing down the company or closing down a project, he just pivots, which is fantastic. So he would be one guy that I could suggest you talking to. We just had a successful sale of White Charts, and the following CEO, Sean Brown, was responsible of actually moving White Charts from one level to another to be sold to a private equity firm. So we just had a very successful liquidation offer just a few months ago.
Very good. Congratulations.
Yep.
All right. And now for the final question. How do you celebrate a win?
It's been a long problem for me to not celebrate my wins. Like I have traditionally not done it, as I think a lot of people do. They just work, and then they say, hey, I did this and I crossed that threshold of my goal, and I might take a pat on my back and then move on. And for me, that's been a problem. So I have more recently started to celebrate my wins by either sharing it with my wife, number one, and then planning a trip or just an activity where we can just sit, even if it's out to dinner, where you just sit back, look backwards over your accomplishments. So you're not always just looking forward through the grind, because if you're just always looking forward, you're never going to catch the horizon, right? It's just impossible. So that's how I celebrate my win, by expressly taking time out. Otherwise, I would just kind of roll over them like speed bumps, if you will. And so it might be big, it might be little. Maybe I buy something small or something bigger, but I do take an activity where it's just a little bit of a nod and an acknowledgement where I didn't used to before.
Very good. Very good. Stuart, it's been a pleasure having you on today. How can people find you?
Well, the easiest place is at www.kruseassetmanagement.com, and Kruse is spelled Kruse. You can find me on LinkedIn at Stuart Kruse, and I have a YouTube page, which is at youtube.kruseam.
Excellent. This is Earl Amin with the 2024 Side Podcast. For more insights, go to LinkedIn and search for the Gray Owl Company. Stuart, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Earl.